Welcome to Sandra's Soul Conversations with Sandra, the podcast. I'm Sandra. I got excited there. I almost jumped ahead. We are welcoming Miguel Angel Casillas, and here he is. I'm going to let him in. I thank you for joining me on this podcast, the safe space for listening to information, taking it in, and tailoring it to you. I thank you very much for these sacred conversations that I can have with my guests that come on, that feel comfortable enough in this space to have a Friday morning conversation, no matter where they are in the world. So let me invite him in. Hold on 1 second. Welcome, Nigel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give you a little wave while he's coming in.
Hey, what's going on?
Peace, peace, peace. And like I said, we just talked about saying your last name, and I think I still got it wrong.
It's all good. I mean, imagine me in school, you know, what I went through. So
Yeah.
nobody ever said it right. So it's all good. It's Casillas.
Casillas, right?
Casillas.
Casillas.
It's got like a
And I think
that little.
you said Casillas. Yeah. But welcome, welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you for having me on again, Sandra. I'm definitely grateful to be in the space.
I am definitely grateful that we can do it again. And, you know, and we're just going to, we
got cut off last time. Remember that?
Yes, we did, you know, but it was okay. And then we had rescheduled. And then I think you had a death in the family that you had to deal with, you know. So we are here to have a conversation about anything and everything. Mainly, for me, I'm interested in your poetry. For me, I'm interested in your animal totems. And I love how Source moves through you with sharing to the collective and the individual through animal readings, right? So I want to embrace all of that. And I want you to start where you most feel comfortable. You know, my question would be, how did you get here right this minute, but how did it start for you?
What specifically? We're talking about poetry, or I feel like, you know, diving into, you were asking me about the animals and then you were asking me about the poetry. It kind of, thinking about it now, it kind of all correlated when I first began to dive into like the spiritual aspects of existence. You know, like I started reading, I think it was, I forget what the book was called. It was like The Power of Awareness or something like that. Old book. And that kind of inspired me to start writing. And then as I was writing, I discovered that it had ties with like who I'm meant to be, or what path I'm supposed to follow spiritually. And it always felt like I had this connection with animals growing up. I always spent time in the woods. I was never, when I was younger, that's what I'd like to do for fun. Like I like to like go in the woods and just kind of walk around, catch animals. Like that was me. That's what I found to be the most peaceful. So I guess it kind of just correlates in a way.
Okay. And then through that, as you were coming up, that just started to align more with as you started to move into your young adulthood, and you just started, you never let go of it. You just let it keep aligning in your as you grew up.
When it comes to nature, that connection to nature, I feel like just like a lot of young individuals, like there was a point in time where I kind of disconnected from that because I met friends that weren't about all that, and then I kind of just like try to find my identity in like group dynamics, and it took me a little bit away from that. So yeah, you know, young, you start drinking, you start partying, you lose track of, you know, the true essence of the real things, you know, nature and its energy, its rawness. So yeah, I'm definitely not perfect. I've definitely been through, you know, many trials in trying to understand what makes me me and what makes me tick, what makes me feel out of place, what, you know what I mean? We all go through these things, you know? And that's the beautiful part about it. It's the journey of trial and error.
Yeah. I mean,
Journey.
that's the whole, that's why we're here. We're here to have a lesson in duality, which means we've got to have a little bit of the good, a little bit of the bad, and then we get to discern which one we prefer to be in.
Yeah.
That's a choice. And me personally, I believe that perfect is overrated. It's been
It's
fed to,
unrealistic. It's unrealistic.
yeah, you know, it's kind
You're
of,
bringing up, sorry to cut you off. You're bringing up duality, right? And then we were talking about animal spirits and the powers of nature. And I feel like that, for me, it has been a great way to understand the primal aspects of my being and how that portrays to my overall personality and the way I do things and the way I interact with my shadow and my duality, essentially, and kind of bringing them into oneness. It's like you can't fully understand who you are spiritually until you understand who you are on this physical, animalistic level that is connected to the environment, essentially, being brought from the earth into existence as we came into this vessel. So it's like a balance that it helps us find.
yeah, I think that, and I'm learning more and more.
This is what we're here. I'm learning every day too. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's when I was a kid, okay, some people don't like the word kid, but it's all spellings, it's all words. Right? When I was a child, it was so easy to let all of duality flow, right? And nature, not nature, all of Gaia was present as a child, right? That's when I felt the most comfortable. That's when I felt actually the most vulnerable to infinite possibilities. Okay, so and you're right. As we grow up, we are the things that are downloaded into our ego as what the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. You know, you get with your cliques or you grow up how you grow up, and then we start to veer off. But veering off does point us into a direction of learning. It may not always feel great, and it may not always be the greatest story that we have for ourselves. But I know one thing, Gaia, or her use of Mother Nature, always brings me back to one. Either if I'm thinking about the air, or I'm thinking about the ground, or I could be thinking about watching a documentary and seeing a volcano go off, and it point me in a direction.
It's that primal connection.
Is that how you felt? Is that what you felt that, how do I say, I want to say it, I can't get another thing. But to bring you back to one, the nowness of becoming more influenced by your animal totems influencing your poetry, is that, or
I guess it allows me to understand. This brings me back to a topic of us being, we were talking about our soul being like multidimensional.
Yeah.
And through lifetimes, we've acquired all these different, we've had many guides, right?
Yeah.
So let's say we have all these animal spirits that we relate to, because they're all, I guess, in a way, we've been all those things, so we can relate to them and better understand why we do the things we do, not just from the way we've been influenced by the environment, but from the way our instincts and our own like nature expresses itself. The incense going crazy right now. But
your throat chakra is moving, and it's just kind of moving with it.
Just kind of going with the flow. Yeah, so it allows us to better express ourselves from a more instinctual level, like not just from the layers that have been placed on us. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. I'm always, or Source is always allowing me to teach, or Source is teaching through me about layers, and about the layers are not us. Our body is not us, and our mind is not us. We have a body and we have a mind. It's a glorious mind. It's more than our ego could ever conceptually think it is. You know, even in its fractured state.
All is mind. That's what comes into my awareness when you say that. All is mind.
Yeah, all is mind. And, you know,
all isn't a thought that kind of just gives off other thoughts and kind of just forms on infinitely.
What came through me just now is all that is mine, and all that is not is also mine. You know, because that's the divine creator essence. As far as the divine creator is downloading in, through, and as me, that, you know, the things that we manifest are ours, and the
birds aren't confirming you right now. You hear that?
you know, so and that primal bond that we have, where we've learned that from certain who took it kind of a little more literally, the primal bond is not a bad thing. The primal bond,
it can be scary. It can seem scary to those that do not understand it. But these are also topics and things that have been around for millennia. You know, let me give you an example where, like, in indigenous cultures, a shaman would go into a trance and then like channel a specific animal, whether it be like he needed to aid the tribe in hunting or something like that, and he would step into that and embody qualities of that animal, whether it be its nose or its senses or its physical strength. And these things are possible, but it seems kind of scary to the way the layers of society and things have been portrayed in this reality, because it's seen as demonic or scary to, you know, what we've been taught growing up. It's like, oh, that's impossible. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. It's all about removing that skeptic out of your mind and experiencing, you know.
I don't see the comments, but Lula Bella says the essence of, just the essence of. And you're so right. You're so right. It's like shamans and many others can go into this trance-like state, and the onlooker can go, I don't understand this. It's the same thing when we speak light language. A lot of people who are there can say, I feel something, but you know, if you're not saying it in English, I can't understand it. Can you translate it? Right?
It's feel. It doesn't need to have a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see the comments today?
Can I see them? Yeah. It says the essence 1144. Hey, Sarah.
Yeah. And Lula Bella 1144. It's and you know, these are words, and these are, and I was like that when I first started to learn. I have always known that scientists have said, well, you know, if aliens come to us, they're going to, the universal language is going to be numbers. It's going to be mathematics and whatnot. And, you know, I kind of got it, but I kind of didn't get it. But now I'm actually, and I'm going to tell you, it's now, right now, that actually 2 and 2 makes sense to me now. Back when I heard that and come forward in my 60 solar returns, 60-ish solar returns, I finally get that the universe speaks in numbers, as well as it speaks in every language that we have upon this earth. Why?
It's constantly communicating with you through like symbols, sounds, feelings.
Yeah.
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 It's wonderful.
It's
just got to listen.
Someone had said to me, I think it was when I was walking my dog a couple of days ago, and we had sat down, and my dog was, doing his thing and smelling and, doing everything. And I was having this conversation with this person, and all of a sudden there was this moment where there was no conversation, right? I didn't exactly notice that conversation or that moment in time had shifted. And then my dog walked into that frame, into that now moment, and just, some dogs will not look you in the eye. That's the one thing that animals won't do, is they won't look you in the eye unless they trust you. And he looked me in the eye, and we were having a conversation. It was a mental conversation, but the person that was next to me in that same frame, not in the moment that I was in, but in the moment that she was in, she heard me having a conversation back to him. And then all of a sudden it was like, I'm back in this moment. And she says, "You know what he's thinking?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "You were answering him, and he was totally vibing to you, right? And Source speaks to you through every
second.
Yeah.
Every moment, the everlasting now. Yeah.
Source,
I get what you're saying.
yeah. It's every, Source keeps saying every orifice, every source opera that every animal everywhere has. We all have. But animals don't have to always speak it verbally. They
Feel it. It's an instinctual thing, and it's a gift they're willing to give us in exchange for a raise in their consciousness. That's where these like spirits come in, and we embody them and help them while they help us through whatever we need help going through. I can give you an example where I can channel like a dog's nose. I can be out anywhere and just pick up on feelings, intentions, or if I'm looking for something specific, just through the nose.
Yeah.
And it's a gift that they provide. Things like that. It's like, well, you're crazy. There's no way. But yeah.
I think crazy is under. I think crazy has been overrated by those who don't understand and underrated by those who do. It's okay to be crazy. It's okay to be creative.
It's understood. Nobody will ever understand you completely. And that is the beautiful thing about having your individuality in the totality of oneness, because you can try to best express yourself through your art, through whatever you're doing, but it's not about being fully understood. It's just about sparking that creative love in somebody else, the inspiration, the love, the sensation. It's not about being fully understood. It's about just...
As a kind of just what I finished reading yesterday, and I read it, and Source gave me the information for others. And then when I was in in meditation yesterday, I asked the question, is there more to it? And then Source just gave it to me just now. Source says it's okay in your daily use of conversations to be creatively maladjusted, because the people that think that they're adjusted have no frame of what maladjusted really is.
Can you elaborate on that? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that word means.
Adjusted, creative maladjusted means that, and I'm giving
maladjusted.
Maladjusted. It means that everything that was downloaded to us has been filtered through somebody else's perception of what's creatively right to adjust to. We get to adjust to it. It is what it is. Okay. What do you call it? clothes police say, and I say police, that's just society says you wear this and women wear this and men wear this and you adjust to it, right? But the people that don't adjust to it are the ones that put polka dots and checkers together, and that's glorious to their eye. They're creatively maladjusted. They don't follow, like my mother says, you don't follow you don't necessarily follow the yellow brick road, right? You go off the beaten path. You may stay near the yellow brick road, but it may take you to a fork in the road, and you may say to somebody else, no, I'm not going to keep going straight. I think I'm going to, take a diagonal path.
Well, authentic expression is so rare and beautiful these days, when we're able to just not give a shit and just express ourselves the way we were meant to. That is healing.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize, but us being in this space, for example, we are speaking about these topics that aren't, spoken about every day, and we are being authentic and expressing who we are. It allows other people to see, I'm not the only one that has these thoughts or I just want to put that out there, that it's okay to be misunderstood. Again, we're meant to be misunderstood, essentially.
Misunderstood, creatively maladjusted, where people say, oh, you must be on the spectrum, and you go, oh, well, I creatively say I'm on the spectrum, if that's what you think. And we've taken all these words and categories of who we are and labels of who we are by other people who think this is just their thought pattern, is that they figured out what, and again, we say that word perfect is overrated, what perfectness is. And if you aren't following that path, or if you aren't in tune with that, then you are the opposite of that. Something's wrong.
You're labeled like eccentric or something like that, or like odd, but they're just labels at the end of the day.
Crazy.
Who came up with these labels? Who came up with this shit?
Well, see, the one thing that I got that source just kind of resonated, and it felt good to understand that it couldn't be perceived if the source didn't give us that energy. Duality is here for people to get it, and I not like that word wrong, but I'm finally getting it. You couldn't figure out what your right feels like to you, how it feels, if you didn't think that you designated as wrong and it didn't feel good to you. Now
I bring you back to being younger and experimenting with different friend groups, and you don't figure out who you are, you figure out who you're not through group dynamics.
Yeah.
You figure out who you are when you spend time alone, and you access these, why does this person make me feel this way? Why is that? Because it doesn't resonate with who you are and what you're trying to bring into this reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, the first time, I think, I will tell, I don't know, I might have think this someone else when I first started Instagram or started doing lives. In junior high school, I think it was me transitioning from my 9th grade to my 10th grade year. So 10th grade year, you get to either become a newbie all over again, or you get to kind of flow into the cliques, right? And I say the cliques. So for some reason, I befriended a girl who really liked who I was. Now, who I was to her versus who I was to me, two different things. What she saw may not be who I really was, right? But the group that I hung out with, her group was how somebody else viewed her group, was how that person actually decided to take upon giving me or speaking to me in what I considered like a confusing manner. That was the first time I ever got called a bitch. Right? Now, mind you, from elementary school to junior high school, I never really had to deal with categorizing. I just kind of got along with all. I never really, um, as you know, my mother was really good about me not putting labels on people. Me and I never looked at somebody as my white friend or my black friend or my right till I got to high school, which had a different story to it. And the story is how I yielded to that story. I had to yield to that story. So I made myself available, however it was, to that story of somebody calling me a bitch. So of course I came home, not afraid to cry, and with the crocodile tears at my mother. My mother says, "What's wrong?" I said, "Oh, this little boy called me a bitch. I don't know why. I don't think I did anything to him." And she said, "Could that be?" And she actually repeated. She said, "Could it be a bitch by association?" And that's the first time that kind of story was opened up. Could this, and she called him a young man have called you this based on who you're around and his association with those people? And I never really thought about that. And then
Guilty by association.
Yeah, right. But you know, it was all. And then my mother asked the very embodying question that made sense to me. She says, and she said, "Sandy, do you know what the definition of a bitch is?" And I knew two definitions. I said, "Isn't that what they call a female dog?" And she says, "Yes, but do you know what their definition of that is?" And I said, somebody unkind. And she said, maybe you should go and ask him. And then when you have the question with him, you can decide, you can tell him who you really are. And actually the next day I asked him, and that was the first time that I was invited a thought pattern than to just hurt. And so-and-so, and you hang out with so-and-so, and she's really mean. And I had to say, well, have I ever been mean to you? I'm not a mean person, you know. But this is what we're taught that's been downloaded into us, is to take other people's vision or perception of us, and if that's what they're saying to us about us, then we just take it on and we follow the leader. We follow the yellow brick road.
We take on the projections, we embody them, we like make them into like almost costumes, and then layers and layers and layers.
Right. And yeah.
That makes me think also, like, we do that to ourselves as well.
Yes.
And until we realize that before we spend time alone, let's say we're constantly out, we take what's good. Let's say like there's good things projected about us, right? But then we begin to believe things that might not specifically be 100% true about ourselves, and we're like, oh, so this is who I am. And then we can almost like lie to ourselves about some specific things that aren't even true.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like, so we can think we are a certain way, but that can also be wrong until we just dig deeper, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's a constant process of just peeling back the onion with all these projections, whether it be self-projections or projections of other people or society as a whole. And it's a trip, it's a journey. It's a process of remembering who you are.
Right.
Underneath all that.
Yeah, process of allowing our souls to recall who they are and where they came from. They came from the realm of absolute or heaven. They came from a higher vibration, a higher level of vibration, and I asked for what word would best the vision of how our souls came to be. They had to descend into a lower density body. So they were veiled for a little bit as to why they're here and what process they're going to go through in or school. And meanwhile, our mind or our subconscious mind said, I know that I'm waiting on something to figure out the consciousness of my mind that's going to work. Our minds knew that it was waiting on our soul's awareness and our body's awareness to become triune. So our mind was very, very smart. It created a subsystem that protected us while everything was coming online. It's just that our subsystem, we call it our ego. You could call it this. Wow. I'm telling you, energy is saying, it's talking to us all through that. I just say that that's why I tell people that your ego is not your enemy and your ego isn't your best friend. It's just a subsystem. It only knew to keep us safe.
It only wants to survive.
Pardon?
It only wants to survive because it's the image. It's the
personality, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Flame of the soul. Welcome. Flame of the soul. That's glorious. Flame of the soul. I love
he's
that.
awesome, man. He does really good readings. What's going on, bro?
Peace. Yeah. So this takes us right back to the animal totems and the animal readings and the poetry. They all intertwine with each other.
I think so, yeah. It's just, like, personally, for example, like poetry, when I write poetry and it's authentic of me, it's not even like I try to write it. It's more of just like, oh, I have this idea, and it comes in. It's like, you know, God sits down with me, and we take down the whatever, and we write it as it comes. It's not even, it's not like for anyone else. It's more just like, I'm called to write it, and then I put it out there, and then whatever resonates with people, it activates whatever. Like, it's me in that moment, just speaking from a centered place that I didn't really need to think about as much.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense? Like I feel like when we are in our authentic expression of creating something, we don't really have to force it.
Right.
When it's not for anyone, it's for ourselves. That's when it comes out and it resonates the most with other people. It's kind of like a this guy, man, it's driving me crazy with his car.
Yeah. No, it's every time he revs it, you know that's something that you just got to repeat because it's the alignment. So repeat it, right? Let's just flow with everything around us, you know. But definitely, I think I think the essence of animals they are always in their now. They are always in their moment.
Their instinct.
Yeah.
I think instinct is what pops out the most to me. It's like, and I think of animals, I don't think they're worrying about the next day. They're kind of just living, and that they're walking among the earth and kind of just like, whether they're looking for their next meal or whatever they're doing, they're not us. They're not, you know what I mean? We're the only beings on this earth that pay to live here, you know?
Yeah.
It's like nobody owns the land. Nobody owns like the earth. It's just like, it's this idea that has been.
It's a story. It's a story that a couple of hundred, maybe thousands of people. It's okay. I'm going to say it again. A couple of, a couple of hundred, actually, less than, of people decide that this is what I woke up to one morning, that a couple of 100,000 people, way back, hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, tens of thousands of years ago, woke up to a dream of lack, that they would be without something. Therefore, they had to claim something. And then in order to claim it and keep it, even though they knew that they were going to, even though they knew that life ends, they wanted to make sure them and theirs always had. So they claimed the land. The land doesn't have boundaries. They wrote the story of boundaries, and then they kept that story going. And those that came after them kept that story going. And then guess what? One day that story was so told so many times that we, the people that the story was told to, just kind of followed along. Just kind of said, hey, it sounds good. And Source said, all the possibilities, yes, because Source is the dreamer, having the dream of us being the dreamer, and
Can you repeat that? The cicadas started going off
for
a second.
The dreamer having the dream of us dreaming, the story is like, okay, we're going to follow that story. Source says, okay, here's my sacred. Yes, go ahead. It's a possibility that was put out there. And then we followed the story for a while until some of the layers started to peel off, whether it was by accident or not. And we started to hear the call of our soul saying, oh, I've got a different story for you. But here we are, we're the dreamers within the dream, and we get to change the story at every turn. We get to go down the yellow brick road if we want to, but when we come to that fork in the road, we get to choose to just keep going straight, or we get to choose whether we want to take a diagonal move, or turn back, or go east, go west, go north. But the thing was, there was never an east or a west or a north or a south. There was never boundaries. Mother Earth doesn't have any boundaries. We created the boundaries, right? We created Northern California and California. We created North Dakota and South Dakota. We created all of that. Mother Earth, when she moves her what my mother called her, when you were having an earthquake in California, she's moving her foot because she's got a cramp. When Mother Earth is moving her foot and shaking the cramp out, it's not because she's looking at boundaries. So I was like, wow, intense that animals and all of Gaia is in a now moment all the time. Even when we have what us as humanity says, oh, we're having, we're having this terrible tornado. Oh, it's a, what do they call it in insurance? You can't get insurance. It's an act of God, right? So they don't insure you on an act of God. If it's a tornado or an earthquake or a mudslide or a, what is the other one? Hurricane or
I've experienced hurricanes and stuff hurricanes mainly firsthand, being from Puerto Rico. Hold on, give me a second.
Welcome, Ruth.
It really allows you to see that if Mother Nature decided to take us out at any point in moment, you know what I'm saying? It really puts us into perspective that we don't actually control anything on that type of spectrum. That we are at we are at the mercy. We are at the mercy of just Mother Nature, essentially. Like, we are blessed to be able to live every day the way we live, but if we do not respect the earth will earn its respect by these natural disasters, these natural things that, and it's its way of speaking, essentially, to show you that, this is power, because nature always wins.
You think you have power, but let me show you. You know, let me show you, right? Um, it's in that, it's in the now moment that shows you how strong. I remember the first time when I was meditating and I actually wanted, you know, because I went in wanting to speak or not speak, but have a conversation with my higher being. And when I was having this conversation, I noticed at that particular time that the higher being at that time that was speaking to me was Gaia herself. And it was because I had went in it with a concerned heart for the conversation that I was hearing about Gaia and everything. And it was always negative. And it was always spoken like to scare you, right? And the first thing that Gaia said is, I will be here long. I was here before humanity, and I will be here long after you're gone. No worries for me. I survived everything. What is your story going to be of me? Your story, I reflect your story. What are you reflecting? See, we spend a lot of time not enjoying our now moments because, and this is the one example that she gave me, was that we can look up at the sky and be in total adornment of the sky. We can even go so far as to transform into the very wind that's around us. But the moment we see a plane go by, leaving behind some type of chemtrails, we start talking about the chemtrails, and we talking about what, so-and-so company is trying to do to us and trying to poison us and this kind of thing. And Mother Nature said to me, Gaia said, I will be here long after. What's your story? Are you talking more about who's killing me than the life that I'm showing you exists, right? I got the truck. Didn't we talk about this earlier, the trash truck, right? But hey, so it was like, oh, I got it. So it was like, Sandra, what do you want? What conversation do you want to speak over me? It's not about who's speaking anything else. She was talking directly to me. Do you want to speak life, or do you want to speak the same thing that everybody else is speaking over me, because they're only going by their physical eyes, and they're not asking, what should I see with my spiritual eyes that I need to see or be shown through my physical eyes? That's being multidimensional with your five senses. And I went, got it. I'm gonna turn
seeing beyond the ordinary. Speaking of, you were asking before about like the importance of the totems and animal spirits and all that stuff, and I went on a couple different directions. A big thing with these energies is the ability to connect us to such a deep level with our roots of Gaia that we are able to predict the weather patterns. We might even, on a certain level, be able to control the weather, but it's more of as a collective thing when we are understanding of its implications on the totality. Does that make sense? These things allow us to connect with our innate natural frequency. That's what I'm hearing, like a natural connection, natural flow.
Okay, so they're doing some dumping.
It's all good.
But yeah, it's when we come in. I think it's more not being in alignment with each other and what each are saying, or creating with Gaia, because that's what it is. We're creating with Gaia. So we have, like you said, we have to come in alignment with Gaia, and the verbiage that we say, think, and feel is how Gaia speaks to us. I think the multidimensional will still be able, like I said, be in collaboration with the wind, the with the air and the fire and the earth and what air, fire, earth,
Lulabella said co-create.
water.
Co-create.
Yes, the best word ever. You know, we are co-creators with a divine creator. We just are.
Everything that's happening outside of us is also happening within. Ow.
I had a glitch. Did you see that? Did you see the glitch?
Yeah.
I went out and came back in. Weird.
I also burned myself.
Oh my.
For a second there.
See, we're talking about some good stuff. I had a glitch. You burned yourself. Wow.
Yeah, I was lighting another incense because my other one went out.
Yeah.
Kind of like cleanse energy in here. That's vibes.
You
Flow again.
were saying something about that oneness, right? With the animal totems, with God.
Our instinct, our innate connection to the earth. And it's flow. It's specific pattern in seasons, or when there's like going to be like a tornado or a hurricane or stuff like that. We would be able to predict these things before they happened a lot easier if we're in tune with our natural powers involving those types of energies. And we are also able to better understand ourselves because these are also aspects within us that we've carried over many lifetimes.
Right. Yes. You know, our souls are always ready to recall to us where they've been. See, yes, it could be it could be generational, and they could have come back, you know, to work something out through the generation. It's possible. The only way that you're going to know that is if you have a embodying conversation with your soul, with your higher being, and be ready to hear the truth from your higher being, because sometimes it might not be the truth you want to hear. This is so we're being embedded. We have this glorified thought that the past of our generation, or where our souls have been before, are something glorious, and it could be, but it might be the truth of it is maybe I was a man in the 1900s, you know, or the 1700s.
We can get stuck there if we dwell too much on the past lives.
Right.
We must only take what we've learned in order to, and the gifts we've acquired through getting to know ourselves better, and that we could bring into this life, not the specifics of.
Yeah, that's the word. We're stuck in the specifics. Because I could have been a man in the 1700s who just did dirty all over. It doesn't have anything to do with my generation or generational or whatnot. But if my soul helps me to recall that, there's a lesson learned there. There's something that I have to bring back into my now moment and utilize it with what gift is in me, or that is awakening to me. And when I notice, for me to bring it back to Gaia, when I'm in my now moment with Gaia, I'm in a better receiving moment, or am I receiving now? Because I am the moment. It's happening now. And what do I need to learn from that? And I notice sometimes I could just be walking my dog, and all of a sudden there's no dog there. I'm somewhere else. It doesn't feel like my form, and I hear what I hear, or I feel what I feel.
You move out
and
of
then
time.
Pardon?
Moving out of time, essentially. So you're picking up, maybe gathering information, maybe on a specific plane that you're able to easily access and bring back to this plane.
Right. Yes. Exactly. And I think there are two. Well, there are more than two, but the ones that I notice the most is when I'm outside in the air, when air is moving around me, and also when I'm near water, or when I'm taking my baths. There became a point where my baths stopped being baths and they started being meditational moments where I would just be different places, different times. I don't know.
Constantly just like,
Yeah.
when we're in those spaces, we're constantly just like grasping information and bringing it here, whether we're aware of it or not. I get exactly what you're saying. Like, for example, if you're outside, there are specific times where there might be no breeze. Well, all of a sudden a breeze comes out of nowhere and you feel it like it gives you almost like a hug, essentially. That's a door. These are doors to different planes of understanding and existence, and an ability to take a second there and like kind of absorb information just by being aware that that's happening. So in that awareness, you're able to absorb information that might be necessary for you to push forward or to tell or to expand upon.
Ah, okay. I'm glad. Lula says she's experienced this too. Yeah. I mean, now I know what it is, because it does feel like I'm being. My word would have been, your word was hug. My word was enveloped. It felt like I was being. Oops! I keep knocking against my water. It's like I keep getting almost like enveloped.
You saying that makes me think how there's a shaman in everyone, if they were just willing, if they're being called towards that path, to walk it slowly and kind of learn through what you're being called to, because essentially just you being able to do that is saying that you're connecting with that shaman aspect of yourself, because you're traveling to different dimensions and you're gathering information that is being brought to this realm in this space and time. But you're aware of that, right? That in itself is a magical experience that many might not even know they're experiencing, or might not think that they are actually having, but these things are happening.
I'm aware of it. I will have to say, speaking to you, I'm aware that it's a door now. Before, I was just aware that it's a feeling, or a feeling that was sharing some wisdom or some understanding or pointing me in a direction. But now that I know it's a door, I think that there's more to it. There's a moment where I have to step through it.
It's about being able to come back. That's where like practice comes in, because we can get, if we're not grounded, or we're not in tune with what we're actually doing in these different spaces, we can almost get, like, our mind can almost get stuck there. Because I've been there, and I don't want to dive too much into that, but my initial first spiritual experiences, I started to experience these things and these different realms and different ways of seeing things, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I, trying to explain to other people, you can make yourself sound crazy. Yeah. So it's more just being grounded while also having the ability to fly. It's like there's a special
She says, I want ice cream. I hear the truck.
Yeah, ice cream man.
Yeah. Well, my trash truck just made it sound like thunder. I just heard thunder.
Maybe I'll do a little drumming. Maybe I'll do a little drumming today. I'm thinking maybe I'll do some of that later.
Coconut, please.
We'll see if. Yo, coconut ice cream is banging. It's actually my favorite.
Don't anybody, don't judge me. You can discern it, but don't judge me. My favorite.
Mint chocolate chip?
Pardon?
Mint chocolate chip? Mint chocolate chip's good. No?
No. No, you guys are going to say you're so just plain, but mine is French vanilla ice cream.
It's good though. French vanilla ice cream is good because you can throw stuff on it if you want to.
It's banging. I mean, I will throw. Now, I'm not a big chocolate person. Of recent, I've started to love dark chocolate. I'm not a milk chocolate kind of person because it kind of milk kind of wears stomach. But when I was a kid, French vanilla ice cream. Not when I was a kid. Now, French vanilla ice cream.
Now, I feel like that was your inner child speaking for a second there. She's like, not a little kid anymore. Yeah. Now.
Let me tell you, give me a whole gallon and I will tell other people, no, go get yours. This is mine, right? But I would put a fudge brownie as dark as the chocolate could be, and as chewy as the chocolate could be, right? And cherry vanilla mixed in, right?
Pretty good.
Well, I could do black cherry. Actually, I started with black cherry, and I did that mix. And of course, here you go. People, even as they were small, is go, ooh, you're crazy. But what did they say? Cardamom? Is that a type of?
I think.
Is that a type of
ice cream?
Maybe. Is it cardamom?
I think so.
Cardamom. I think I know. Ooh, that might be an interesting flavor. I'm going to see if I can find that cardamom. Okay. Thank you, Denota.
Speaking of vanilla ice cream, I like vanilla ice cream. I like to put cinnamon on the vanilla ice cream and honey because the honey gets like it like cools off, so it becomes a little bit solid. But with each bite, you get like a little bit of that with cinnamon, and just cinnamon and honey together is just my vibe. I just love that.
I put cinnamon and honey in my banana shakes and stuff like that. So I got to try it on my.
It's very good for your throat.
Really, cinnamon. Okay.
Cinnamon and honey.
Cinnamon and honey. Ooh, yeah. All I know is my throat has gotten better, but that was because I had a lot to just surrender and release. The throat shot has gotten better. But also I noticed that my throat chakra was moving as my light language came in. Because there's a lot.
Have you worked with stones on your throat?
Pardon?
Stones? Stones help.
Which ones? Hot stones?
No, I mean like crystals.
Oh, okay.
Like right now, I have lapis on my neck because lapis allows me to be in that higher vibration and express myself more authentically. Okay. So I like to wear that when I'm speaking, or I'm in this space of trying to express myself and not think and kind of just be. It opens that up.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, no, I can't say. Well, I could say that, but that's not what Source wants me to say. Source has been talking to me all week about this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I will say that you're the first guest that my ego mind. No, it's not my ego mind. Source is telling me it's not my ego mind. Source is saying that soul wants to. Our souls need to play, and that's why I've been thinking about it, because my soul kept bringing it up to me. Are we going to play and just be, or are you going to make this about the podcast? To me,
I'm just being.
Yeah.
Well, the birds, the jays are going crazy. But I also do know that perhaps you wanted to ask me a specific question, so I want to provide insight on whatever you're asking me about and be a little serious for a moment, as well as I also want to play.
No, but
so it's like.
But I finally get it. It's my soul, and this is the ear. This ear is tinging because my soul is saying, no, today was a play date. This is a play date. Yes, we're about everything that has been interesting and that has been on other people's plate. But we get to play. We've played around the universe as souls. And now you and I in these human bodies get to play and have a conversation about all we've done, all we are doing, and the expectation of us, the human being, in the play that is going to keep reoccurring. And my soul is saying, don't worry, it's reoccurring in the now. That's our multidimensional beingness, is now. We're doing this all, we're being, what is that word? Somebody said it to me one day, that it's when we do things all at the same time, where we're faceted.
Yeah, like multitasking?
Multitasking. And my soul told me when I was talking to them, he was saying he was in the comments, and he said multitasking is so it's so overwhelming to me. And my soul had told him, call it playtasking. And that's what, yeah. I just looked at it yesterday, and my soul told me that's what we're supposed to be doing today.
You bringing that up, it makes me, you know, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking about something like this when I was doing my reading earlier. Somebody put a paragraph on here that I wanted to read in a second, but finding that in between place where you're doing like a little bit of both, that feels like the most authentic place, where it's like it's also play, but you're also speaking from that deep well of wisdom. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. There's like a balance there that is what I personally am striving for whenever I'm trying to provide reading or I'm trying to communicate with somebody. I want to be vulnerable, expressing my inner child, but also expressing the old man within. It's like a combination of both. It's like the wise one, the one that likes to play. Let's take a bit of both, and here I am on this in this vessel, trying to combine it and express it where it doesn't come off like I'm being somebody else.
Right. Exactly. Where I'm being the most authentic the most authentic me I can be. You know. Yeah. And let's read that from Dan.
It says, sharing live on messages animals are sending to me, as well as how to vocalize and make animal sounds you have been wanting to make as young as when you were a child, and teaching you how.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the first time I ever, when I was a kid, I used to always try to mimic animals and not actually get it right. And then when I had my children, while me and my ex-husband were married, he could always do the Donald Duck, right? And he could, mimic the animals on the cartoons and whatnot. And that each time it reopens that playful me, that it takes me back to that memory of how open I was with animals. How if I listen to the birds,
can you whistle, Sandra? Can you whistle?
No, I can't whistle.
Would you like to try something? Would you like to do a little bit of light language, and then I will whistle in the background?
Ooh.
I feel like that would be something we could do for maybe like a minute or so.
Sure.
You're down? I don't know. I'm being called to whistle. You said this was Dan?
Yeah.
Whistle, yeah.
kiss.
Call to say, everyone has a bird god that sits above here, your crown, watching over. Let's tap into that.
Yes, here,
Thank you for that.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. See, well, that's play. We're playing. I feel like that was natural. That might have, whoever that resonates with is meant to resonate with, you know? You said Shana Teko Ah. Shana Teko Ah.
Shana Teko Ah, Shana Teki Ka Ah.
Sashima City. Serate by StatesAba. That's the first time I'm trying this. But yeah. Time and place. Yeah, light language is definitely very, very, very interesting. I found myself doing it sometimes when I'm driving, and then I'm like, oh, wait, what was I just doing? But it's definitely really cool, and I definitely feel like everyone has their own flavor, like their own, but a lot of it sounds very similar. Like, I feel like perhaps having to do with the origin of someone's, when someone came into having the ability to make vocal sounds. Like,
ever since we were babies, we have always been speaking light language.
my grandma would always say that I used to say this thing that it said "Ah, que coito ere." I would always say that when I was little, and like I don't know what it means, but I always used to say it, and perhaps that might be like some sort of saying in some sort of light language. Que coito ere. Ay, que coito ere. Whenever you speak like that, I just kind of let it soak in and see what resonates, and it kind of like pops up later or something like that, and I'll think about it, and then I'll bring up specific imagery, and then I'll use that.
Yeah.
I've been writing down, which I feel like a lot of people in this journey should definitely keep like a journal nearby whenever like synchronicities are happening or you're having weird dreams. It's definitely good to write down what comes to you because it has clues to what you're seeking. What you're seeking is also seeking you.
Yes. So the animal readings that you do.
The oracle readings, like the cards?
The cards. Oracle, animal. Well, no. Let's move back one. Source is telling me to move back one. Okay, the two questions, and these are for me personally.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to share them with individuals that have come into, my life. It's, remember we had a conversation before about our animal guides and our not just only our animal guides, but our angel guides and our
Our
guides that
squad.
are
Our squad. Everybody has their squad, right?
our squad. Now I know that I've had I'm not going to say dreams. I know I've been places where my animal guide is. I know that my animal guide is a lioness and an alligator. I know that my animal guide is a bird with massive wingspan, but I don't know what the label is. And we had talked about that before, that you had saw a bird with a big wingspan. Every time I look up, I see when in my regular, in this dimensional now that I'm in, especially when I'm walking Charlie and I'll look up, there are these that have like these big wingspans, but see, they're far off. So I know if they,
Hold on, you got cut off. I can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I don't know if they are them that are with me. And I want to.
So when they come in, when animals come in physically, it's a guide. It's a spirit animal guide. It's like a separate thing from your totems, whereas totems are a part of they're a part of you. So like when you see something more in a physical sense, it's something that it's perhaps speaking to you at that time, and then perhaps a chunk of the collective, it'll show up at that specific time for a specific message for those going through that specific journey or that specific frequency and help you evolve past the situation. So usually when you see something physically, that's what it means. It means it has a message for you at that specific time. Mm-hmm. And I would try to ask source at that specific time what it is and how it can help you elevate your consciousness.
Right.
Instead of, I feel like when it comes to totems and more specifically like a power animal, it's something that you would see more maybe perhaps in a dream or in a vision.
Okay. And that's what that's what I see in my dreams. I see my lioness walking with me, and and my alligator walking with me, very close to me. And then when because my dog is a emotional support dog, so literally he'll just come and sit on my feet or lean up against my leg. But there are moments where I know he's not even around, and I'll feel this leaning on or this guidance down at the bottom of my feet, or leg.
You can feel them, yeah. Like your animals can. I view them more as like in an astral sense, but sometimes you might feel them kind of, let's say through like the corner of your eye. Let's say like sometimes people experience seeing spirits that way. It can kind of be in that sense. You can kind of sense their presence. As you become more attuned to what they are specifically and what imagery you're projecting from the internal world outwardly, you can better make contact with them and know when their presence is near and when you kind of can call them in for what specific situation you're in. So like, for example, me, right? I know that one of my guides is a jaguar, but it's something that I don't call forth a lot unless I'm feeling like I'm being attacked from a place up here, or I'm being I feel like I'm physically I don't attribute that to physically. I attribute that to more of like a like if I feel like I'm being attacked from a headspace type thing, I'll call that energy in and I'll feel its presence and I'll feel protected. But that is an aspect of yourself that takes on that form. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Okay, I got it. So that's why I feel more protected, more stronger, because my lioness, she's strong and she's powerful, but she's also loving and nurturing and kind. So, you know, so when I'm going,
I made a video on Lion, Invoking Lion, which is a new series that I'm going to be doing on my channel that you might benefit from viewing. Perhaps I talk about lion energy. I say lion, but you can also attribute it to lioness, and you can change whatever I might have said from a lion's perspective. You could change it to like lioness.
okay.
You speaking about, can you repeat what you said before about the way it makes you feel?
Oh, the way it makes me feel, it makes me, you know, the females do the hunting.
Yes.
And they're powerful, and they take their time.
That's why I attribute that energy to, it's actually a solar masculine force. So I attribute even the lioness as a masculine energy, because the lioness does the hunting. It does most of the, like the pride is essentially like a matriarchy. It's kind of like elephants. It's you know, the female does most of the work, whereas the male is basically only there to save his strength for when, you know, perhaps there's an invader trying to come into the pride or whatever, and he needs to fight off. But the female does most of the work.
Yeah, and I think me as a single parent, I think I am, even when I didn't know I was embracing her, but found out that was my power, or my animal guide, was it gave me a sense of comfort, knowing that it was okay for me to be powerful but kind, powerful but loving, powerful but understanding, powerful but I'm patient with it, right?
It's like a gentle fierceness, because you know what you're capable of. You know that you can also have other extreme of that and being extremely gentle,
Right?
which is beautiful.
Yeah. And then somebody once asked me, why do I know that I have an alligator, a soul-filled animal full of I can't remember how they described an alligator, but in every movie you've always seen that they presented the alligator is aggressive, and it eats. It's a constant eater, and it attacks you with no regard for anything else. But when I feel an alligator, why I actually, in a dream, I was introduced to my alligator guide. It's strong. It's, hi Peter. It's strong, and it's quiet. It's patient.
That's what I heard when you were first brought it up. I heard patience.
Yeah.
Because an alligator will sit there in the water until, you know, the food kind of approaches it. It doesn't waste its time, you know, chasing. It's more of just like patient.
Right.
Wow.
It's chaser.
And I also think
let you provoke it. Do you know what I mean? So
I think what comes up to me when you stream alligator too, you have the ability to embrace opportunities. Like you have a great eye for opportunity. As soon as it shows up, you're able to, you know, strike that opportunity and make the best of it, essentially. So that's perhaps a capability you have, and you can have more access to by tapping more into that energy.
yes. And then, I mean, I do notice that there are a lot of squirrels that hanging around, and just they'll stop, they'll look at me, I think they have it's some telepathic.
Squirrels are cool, yeah. I like squirrels.
You know, you know, I think Mother Nature, I think that's the whole thing. Gaia is just having a conversation with us through the closest to. So I'm now in my dream, this winged animal. I mean, I know they call birds a different kind of thing. They're not. This air animal, and because I'm a Gemini, I'm air, blah blah. But I don't think that has much to do with it. It keeps coming to me, but I don't see what it is, and I wonder. All I see is the massive expanse of its wings.
Perhaps it is a part of you that's hidden, that requires a little more introspection in order for you to see it face to face. Okay. And it kind of will show you like what it is once you better understand that aspect of yourself.
Okay, so it's that aspect of myself. So that means that it's trying to tell me that I need to do a shadow walk.
Perhaps. You can take your line with you, you know, like visualize it. You can take that protector with you to that space and allow you to travel it more easily.
Okay, and see, I'm glad we had this conversation.
I'm learning too. You know, I'm also learning about all these things, and it's beautiful to be able to share specific things that I know of, and while also learning other perspectives and you know more about the journey.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you know, the fact that I as a young adult, or not even a young adult, a teenager, started stepping outside of my comfort zones with the stories and the dialogue that was given to me through, you know, being a young Baptist teenager and things just not fitting and able to move out of that. The journey that you know, when at this point, all the journey that I had moved or has moved me or that I have moved through has been opening me up to understanding, not just understanding, but the understanding of who I am and how the total cosmic universe is talking to us. There's nothing held back. We hold ourselves back because we believe that, I know for me that I was told God is a certain way. God was, and in all of the...
I get it, yeah.
Right?
Growing up in a specific religion or a specific environment, you know, you have these like beliefs almost embedded into, you know, you got to dig in there and you got to, how do I actually feel, you know? Gotta remove all the clutter, yeah. And
you know, back all the layers and go, okay, what is this? Okay, here's the story that I have. How come how come, and then I didn't know the word was resonate. How come I feel so uncomfortable in it, right?
Yeah.
How come I feel uncomfortable in it? How come I feel sometimes disoriented in it? You know, as I'm moving through, you know, I went from the Baptist to born again Christian, you know, rededicating my life to Jesus and believing a story that I was, when I came into the world, I came in sinner, and, you know, peeling back all these layers that are I will say for my greater good of peeling back the layers, realizing that the one story that didn't fit right was that if God is the same today, if God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, then why would God create a cosmically changing universe and put us into a duality that gives us options to actually change it? Then I went, and on top of that, everything is speaking to us. Right?
Do you ever think perhaps, this is just an idea, that we are here partly to understand how to be creators, but also gather information that might help us create our own world after this lifetime. Perhaps after we move from this plane, we have the capacity to create our own universe, essentially, and kind of step into that godhood. But first, you have to go through. You have to transcend down, like you were talking about descending. We come here descending, and you're gathering, and you're going through this experience, and your soul is just going through these experiences and these wavelengths to just experience its multidimensional aspects through lifetimes as they, going on and on and on and on.
I'm sorry if anybody saw a glitch. It's because I had to plug my phone in. Yeah. We are the created. Yeah, we definitely are. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I definitely say ashe to that. I concur with that. I say amen to that, and to let it be, because this is what we're told. We're just lowly men and women, and God is this massive, God is this massive man God in the sky, and that we all have to get right and get fixed, and
Like,
and
you have been bad. No, stop.
ever I was young, I've been searching for. There's got to be another. The puzzle pieces didn't fit, even books that were dated from the Bible, and even if everybody, sources giving us so much information, and showing us in the verbiage that we know, in the dialogue that we want to see physically and mentally, sources saying yes to it. Source said yes to when I was a Baptist little girl learning. Then source said yes to me when I was rededicating my life to Jesus, not to God, but to Jesus, because Jesus's blood was going to save me from being a sinner. Source said, if that's what you want to believe, that's a possibility too. Yes. And then when I moved, I went, okay, well, I want to know more about my relationship with me and God. Source said, yes, all right. Because we're here in Earth School, and our soul, definitely, I agree with you, our soul is learning how to be the divine God that it came to be, body, mind, and soul, here on Earth School.
I have this vision of, like, we have our own worlds, and those that truly, like when you were speaking about friendship outside of this place, I just picture like having a world, I have a world, you have a world, and then like kind of you have the ability to travel at light speed, so all these specific different what you might call places within the spectrum of things, and that I don't know, for some reason that just feels like it could be a thing,
I feel it too. I feel that there's a growing up that our soul is doing, and it's because it's moving up the densities to merge back with source. And then I say, okay, here's me. This is me. This is the embodying me. This is the me that I was when I was 3, and when I was 6, and when I was 12, and when I was that's totally up to Jag if he wants me to allow you to pop in. And we're at off already, so we're already an hour and 30 minutes into it. So
time flies. Time is not real, it's man-made construct.
Right. So just letting Jag know that.
Yeah,
so
I don't mind.
Hold on
So
just a second. Do you want me to let her in on our live?
did you want to just end the podcast and then we could just hop back on fresh? I gotta get some water too, because I'm parched, if we're gonna keep chatting.
Okay, I'll start a regular live. Give me some time to end this live, and then I will start another one. All right.
Hey, subscribe to Sandra. All right, this podcast is awesome.
Yes, it's available on Spotify and iTunes, and it is also will be available on YouTube in some format or not. Okay. So we'll see you in a second, Ray. And if anybody wants to tap into the next live that I do in about, give me 15 minutes, and we'll pick up there. How does that sound?
Thank you for having me on, by the way. It's been a pleasure.
Before we go, Miguel, are you on any other platforms other than Instagram?
I'm on YouTube. I just made a YouTube a few days ago where I'll be posting my journey through, working with the animal totems and all that jazz. And I also do readings on there. And also, if you want a personal reading, you could PM me. I'll be doing those. So yeah, the link is in my Instagram.
Okay.
Blackjack777.
Blackjack777, the 37.
Yeah, I had to make a new one because I lost my info, my login to my other one. I got a new phone. So all those, if you want to check out some of my old poetry, it's on Blackjack77 and some of my old readings. But my new stuff is going to be on this page.
Okay. And there might be a way that you can link those two pages together, so that you don't lose that stuff. On
yeah, there's I put a lot of stuff on that page, but
yeah,
I still have access to it. It's just on another phone. So I wanted to just carry around one phone around. Didn't want to have two.
Well, there'll be a great thing. So, you guys follow Miguel at Blackjack, not Blackjack. Blackjack777, and go into his bio, check out his beautiful poetry, check out his wonderful readings, and we will go live again. It will not be podcast live, but we will do a live.
Oh, yeah. Stay tuned for my animal series. It's going to be dope. I'm going to be putting a lot of work into that.
Okay.
Well, thank you, guys.
So thank you so much for joining Soul Conversations with Sandra. Thank you so much for extending your energy for wisdom, understanding, and play, to allow our souls to play with your souls and just have a good time today. So
it's my pleasure.
I close this this session with 10845.
10845.
And everyone, stand on the leading edge of creation and create. This is what you have come to do. This is who you have come to be. Be whole. Be satisfied. One love. Bye.
Peace.